is episode 146 of Hebrews in Exile with our honorable teacher, Robert B. Holman Jr. and Shawn. Actually, the honorable teacher actually won't be in this podcast. I'm going to be joined by none other than Trey Beverly, and we are going to talk about the things that are important to young Hebrews. What are some of the challenges that younger Hebrews are having in westernized culture? Yet another action-packed episode. So Hebrews in Exile, you know what we do. Let's go!
You're the harvest, you're my life, you're a creation, you make everything right.
This is Ambassador Shawn Appleton and
Trey Beverly.
And this is Hebrews in Exile. We are absent one of our dear brothers and prophet and teacher, the good Rabbi Robert B. Holman Jr. will not be joining us this evening, and I'm honored to host this dear brother, Trey Beverly. I mean, every time I see you, and you know what, it's kind of like one of those things where you have your, it's something that defines who you are. It's that Bible that you carry around. I don't want to say Bible, but that book that you carry around with you. It's got everything in it, so many notes and everything, and you're a brother that studies. And again, I appreciate you coming on the podcast, and we're going to have a good time tonight and talk about some things. But before we do that, I just want to make sure that if you're watching this later on, or even if you're tuning in now, I just want to make sure that you're aware of some things before we get started. It's kind of like when back in the day when we was in the church and said, we're going to have the announcements, and this dear old lady would just wallow up there and she'd say, you know, the children's church is going to be meeting afterwards to talk about whatever.
Let me give y'all the event first. Yeah.
Right. So what I have here in my hand is the Hebrew calendar. Again, I want to make sure that everybody understands and knows that it is out. You go to HebraiCalendar.com. There you can purchase your Hebraic calendar for the 2024 and 2025 Gregorian calendar year, but it's our Hebrew calendar year. Now, one of the things that I have to do in my study and research that the ambassador-elect Stagg kind of tasked me to do is to say, hey, listen, you know, you got the 2000 whatever year on there. What year is it for us Hebraically? You know, the Yehudim say it's, you know, year 5,670s, whatever. Yeah. But what year is it really for us? Have you done the study on that? And because there are mitzvot that are germane to the Yovel years, which is the Jubilee years, where every 7 years, a mitzvot kicks in about relieving debt and letting go of slaves and those types of things. Yeah. And then you also have those mitzvot that every 49 years.
I was just going to say that.
There's another one that comes up. So we kind of need to know where we are with those. So it's best we can stick to the mitzvot as we are in exile. And I know the Most High gives us this opportunity to kind of seek it, gives some time to seek that thing out. But I just want to make sure everybody is aware that the Hebrew calendar is out. Now, in the month of March, the Gregorian month of March, we are going to start, the calendar year is going to start over again. Now, one of the things that we find in the book of Enoch, which is the calendar is based upon, is when the year begins. And it begins and it's even in germane to text. When we talk about, I think it's in the book of Shemot, where it talks about the beginning of your year shall be in the month of Aviv, which the month of Aviv is in English means springtime. And we can start to see already in Sacramento, the cherry trees are starting to blossom already. And those things are the light is starting to come out a little bit more. And it's when we have, the book of Enoch explains when we have equal light and equal night, that's when the year begins. And that's what this calendar is based on. So I just want to make everybody aware, if you don't have the calendar, the last week in the month of March is going to earmark the beginning. Matter of fact, that Friday, if you will, is Pesach. Matter of fact, I'm going to turn to it real quick. Pesach is going to be on the March 29th this year. And that will start in the evening. And on the 30th of the month, which is the Shabbat, will begin the Feast of Matzah, which I'm excited about the Feast of Matzah because if you're going to tune in to FTF on the Feast of Matzah, we're going to have a treat that day for you. You're going to hear a young brother speak that day. And I know he's going to have some fire with him when he talks. I'm not going to hint to who that is, Trey Beverly, but we are looking forward to that. So the calendar is out. I also want to make mention of the 2 books that we also have out as well, which is In Defense of the Messiah and also Torah for Hebrews in Exile. Great read, great utilitarian book for Torah for Hebrews in Exile and In Defense of the Messiah. Really starts tearing down the foundation and looks at some of the things that we have around this character named Yeshua and really defining really who he is and who he isn't. So 2 great resources coming out of this house. And again, I don't want to forget about our music that comes out of this house as well. We are worshipers, not only because when we actually study this, you can't help but feel something.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
And part of some people's worship is being able to express that musically. So we have our own music. So go by Spotify and iTunes. Even maybe think on iHeart, we have our music as well. And look up for Kevin Holman, and you can find our music there too. So with that being said and getting that out of the way, I kind of wanted to open up this evening with a couple different avenues. I'm going to let you pick where we go.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Because a lot of times when Rabbi and I are having the podcast, we talk about things that are political. We talk about things that are really germane to more of, I don't want to say, and I'm using this pejoratively, some more of the advanced topics that are in text. But I kind of want to, something's been on me lately. And really it's this issue of kind of getting to where young people are. Not to say that, listen, I'm over 40. I'm almost 50 years old. I know I don't look it, but hey, I got to blow my own shofar with that one.
You're doing good. Doing good,
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
So I want to either kind of go in the direction of talking about things that are germane to young people or this other issue that it's kind of a philosophical thing that I was waiting to save because I have to speak this Shabbat that I wanted to bring up in front of the people in Shabbat. That was another one of these issues of, well, it's great for a topic of conversation. Another one of those issues where I'm looking at the text and I'm seeing some things in there and I don't know if I want to break that particular issue out in front of the people, but it wouldn't be probably good for a good podcast. And everything has to go back to the beginning. Both of these topics that I kind of want to talk about go back to the beginning, but where are you at? Let's talk about what direction you want to go in. Do you want to talk about young people? The state of young people? What's germane to young people today?
I'm kind of interested in the subject that you wanted to talk about now. But yes, I think we can also, fit that into with the young people a little bit as well.
So at least in regards to to young folks.
Okay.
And I'm talking about, when I say young folks, I'm talking about people that are probably 30 and down. And probably anywhere from 18 and up. Is there anything germane that from that group that you see that is really important, that is tantamount to them, that they dwell on, that say, okay, this is what I'm hearing a lot of nowadays? And it could be how relationships work, or this separation of how in Western culture, how we're looking at relationships, and as Hebrews, how do we deal with that kind of thing moving forward? I mean, you hearing anything? Or I can just go right into my little dissertation.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. I'll touch up on what I know from it a little bit. Is that I see that a lot of the younger people of, like you would say, kind of this generation, mid-adult age, they are looking for what kind of, like, similar to what we've been showing, what is the difference from the Christianity church? And if we are going to try to show some of those, how that is in idolatry, then we need to give them the facts. And I think FTF and, like, Rabbi and you guys here have been doing a great job at it. And I believe there are a ton of young people that will gravitate to it. I just think that it's our voice is, not being heard as widely. So that has an effective part of it. And also, I would say for with the young people too, is because, just like any people or any generation, you are influenced by your elders. And your elders have a very effectiveness in how you move and how you go about your life.
Right.
So it's also a little harder for some of this generation to let that go when they know that mama or grandma or whoever the elder doesn't want to let it go. But that's where we just need to pray and do what we need to do. So Yah, brings his spirit to clear the room on situations like that, to bring people's ears to want to hear what Yah is saying, regardless of anybody else. And that's another thing. People listen to their pastors more than they would actually listen to this word. Now that's scary.
Yeah, as I think about that idea as to why individuals do not spend enough time, and let me just say this as well while I'm here, is that I was thinking about this on the way over here, is that, sometimes we like to get in front of the people and kind of trying to chastise them a little bit for not getting into text and reading it and kind of committing to it and whatnot. And I got to think about what our master teacher, and when I say master teacher, I mean the GOAT, Moshe,
yes,
did.
Yeah.
He went into the tent meeting with the Most High, and he came out and he said, "This is what thus saith." He didn't come back and tell them, "Hey, listen, y'all need to start studying this, and y'all need to start doing this, and y'all need to start committing to it," or anything. He just told them, "This is what the Most High said. Remain neutral, and then let the Most High deal with these individuals in their idolatry, in the way that they've fallen away, or at least trying to let them kind of, I don't want to say work it out for themselves, but Moshe never came with a harsh word to the people other than, this is what the Most High says. If you are the Most High's people, then this is how you're supposed to act. Right. I can answer any questions when it comes to how you're supposed to carry those things out, but I'm not going to chastise you about it. Y'all a bunch of grown folk out here. Y'all know what the Most High says. If you're going to acquiesce to it, acquiesce to it. If not, then don't. So I got to try my best not to come off that way to people, because I think it probably turns people off when you try to chastise them and say, "Hey, listen, you don't read your text." And the reason why you don't read your text and why we fall short. And I got to bring this up too. I'm off and running. I got to honestly believe that if we just simply read it for ourselves like we do now, I understand what mama says. I understand what daddy says. But we're going to have to develop some courage to read the text, own the text, and walk in the ways of the text. And at that particular point, we can own it and then explain it to someone else, irrespective of what mama and daddy said. It doesn't mean that mom and daddy have it right.
Yeah.
I get that we have a lot of respect for our elders, but at the same time, we also need to walk the path. And then that's probably my biggest testimony. I'm not a big proponent for a person to go out and start witnessing door to door and, you be this holy roller while you're at work and kind of, not to say be disruptive, but I think by leading by example and your lifestyle, even the way I pray, people, when someone asks me to pray before they eat, my whole entire prayer is totally different because it's totally based on the mitzvot. And it's based in what the Most High has given to Moshe, our teacher, to give to us. So by leading by example, it creates questions in people and they want to tend to ask rather than being condemned by, by that particular fact.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say, with like you were saying with the youth too, of not being afraid to talk to their elders or their mother or father or whoever about it, because when you look at children anyways, I look at children as basically like they're supposed to be the edification of two individuals in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you learned or had to learn in your life, you learn all this in your adult age.
Right.
You have your young sons and you give them the game early.
Right.
So they can take it and go further.
Absolutely.
So the adults need to look at the same thing. Like, yes, I feed into my children. I feed in all this game early. They're going to get knowledge and take it and go further.
Exactly.
So when the youth understands that, and when the adult understands that, then there's this adult and youth. It's become way more powerful because now the adult understands that, okay, I need to listen to the younger because I can learn from them. And then the younger needs to know, okay, I'm listening to my elders too, but I need to see if there's anything that they missed.
Right.
That I can show that's factual and bring it to the table.
You know what? While you're speaking, a situation comes to mind that's across the street in the New Testament. When people want to get challenged and say, "Oh, I can't listen," because I run into that a lot with my family members. They tend to not want to talk to me when I start talking about the things that are systemic to the Most High. But there's, even in the New Testament, there's a situation where this young Jesus is in the synagogue teaching older individuals, supposedly, about Torah. So it's not as if it can't be done. It's just you need to have a pliable mind to understand that, yes, there are things that the Most High is continuing to enlighten us about, and we shouldn't get stuck in our ways and so prideful and so get egotistical about what we know and just say this is the way it's always been and I don't know anything different and I don't want to change, because change is actually going to challenge you to read it, understand it, and know it so you can grow. It's all about growth and a community. So that's good that you brought that up. So a lot of young people, so really from your particular standpoint, young people are struggling with kind of that parental eldership that's there that says, you know what, this is the glass ceiling and you should be a Christian or you should be a Muslim or you should be, this is Judaism and you should stay here and there's nothing else to glean from it.
Hey, you know our people, especially if you living in a household. Ooh, come on now.
Right.
You know how some of our people can be. So,
They just, this is the way it's always been.
But it boils down to an individual has to have it in their mind. Well, what is the most important thing that matters? And if the most important thing that matters to an individual is carrying out the Most High's ways and living by his ways as best as they can, then that's when you have to prepare yourself mentally to understand that me going through this process, that pride is going to try to overtake me probably on actually keeping the Most High's ways. My own self-interest, or I'm going to be battling with that to keep the Most High's ways. So if you have that mindset, it's more easier to apply Torah than it is if you're just, this is what I know, this is what I've always been told. But then you have to go back and say, okay, I have to go to what the Most High says. Yeah, absolutely. And so whether it's your son giving you that information who's 12 or 15, or it's someone that's a random person that's 55 and that's older than you. Right. If it's factual, what's the issue?
What's the holdback?
Yeah.
You got as you were speaking there, I just had it and almost lost it. My mind is reeling with all the things that you're talking about. It's one of these things that the difference between us and Hebraically speaking, and I think where maybe westernized world is, which is in a Christian sense, domain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that vernacular.
Yeah.
Boils down to one word for me, which is the word why. We're not afraid to ask the question, why?
Right.
Why is that like that? Why do we do this? Why? And I think while we were in Christianity so long ago, we never asked that. We just accepted it because it is what it is. Yeah. And if you go against it, then you're going to hell. Or, you know, you just don't do, or you get sat down, or you're ostracized. You become like Hester Prynne with the scarlet letter on you.
They'll make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, they will put you in a place that publicly shames you or makes you feel uncomfortable about asking the question why. And I think if more people were allowed, even in a Christian church, to simply have a forum to ask the question why and to get a reasonable answer, not just because. Let me give you an example. And I've used this before on a podcast before. I was listening to someone, a very prominent church back in Virginia, that one of the largest ones in the state of Virginia. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to reveal the name, but the pastors got on stage and they were answering questions from the congregation. And it was funny to me how all the questions, out of all the years that they did teaching, they were asking them questions about mitzvot. And one of the questions came up, again, was, why do we worship on Sunday? When the text says we're supposed to worship on the Shabbat. And the pastor of this church answered the question and said,
it's not, seems like he's not going to answer this in a good way.
He gave a cop-out answer, which was, well, let's talk about what that day means. That day means it's a holy day. Now, they use that vernacular. We don't use that over here. That kind of parlance. It's a set-apart day for us. But he says it's a holy day. Now, let's keep it in the framework of a holy day. We've designated our holy day as being Sunday. So that is our day of rest. That is what he said. And you could...
We dedicated. Who was the we he's talking about?
But that's the issue that I think people, they've got to get over that fear of saying, I need to challenge my leaders.
Yes.
We are coming up on an election in 2024. We are challenging our local leaders, our state leaders, and our national leaders to prove to us that their platform that they're running on is a sound one that's better for forward movement of this so-called country. But we don't do that and hold our pastors and leaders accountable for what's in there. How in the world are you going to give a half? You couldn't come in this congregation and give some half-cooked answer like that and say, well, okay, just because.
Yeah.
I told that to my kids. I said, you know what?
Walk out of here just with that being said.
Right. And I had a problem. I don't know if you had the problem with, when you were growing up with your parents and they gave you that answer. Well, why is it that, Mom and Dad? Why? And they just said, because I said so. I never liked that answer. Mm-hmm. Because I said so doesn't tell me anything. Give me the reasons why so I can actually have the data, own the data, make a connection with it, and then own the data or own it and then move forward. But I don't think that the Christian church allows young people, or they scare them to the point because they're fledglings and they don't know. If they just had that opportunity just to ask them and challenge them as to why they do what they do. Why do we have communion? Why do we have, where does that come from? And a lot of that stuff gets missed.
Yeah. And that's what we need. Like, okay, where does Yah say that, a man can die for our sins?
Sure.
Where do you guys get this Trinity idea? Because when we read Yah, was it Deuteronomy 6:4, where he says he's one.
Exactly.
So, and I've learned, being on this journey that, studying the roots of Scripture and even learning on it a little bit before I came to Torah, is you have to learn the roots of anything.
Exactly.
The origin. So we always have to go back to this origin of Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to that origin of Christianity, it doesn't align with the prophets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's created to be an agenda that looks similar, but is deceptive and to pull us away from Yah's ways.
Exactly.
You know, so I have learned, like me and Johan was looking, I think it was like 2 months ago when we were looking up and, some of these preachers are actually granted funds.
Oh, yeah. I remember you guys saying that. Yeah.
If they teach a doctrine that stays within a certain range and, oh, you can't speak on this and you can't speak on that. Those are things that are just real fishy right there.
Yeah.
So it's and it's also learned behavior too.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of us, I grew up Christian and, calling to him for help too. Mm-hmm. But, for me, I understood that he wasn't the Most High.
Yeah, it's especially difficult for a person who's trying to understand and learn. Because if you look at our path, we walked that path and it led us down some roads, some very dark roads. We came out of Christianity and the first thing that we did is we turned to Judaism for the answers for everything. We instantiated a lot of their practices, the Ashkenazian practices. We instantiated a lot of things that really weren't germane to the Most High. And we, in our effort to try to be as pleasing in the sight of the Most High, we still were turning to religion for our answers. And that's problematic. So it's almost especially hard and difficult for us in this day and age as being, pan-Hebrewism around the world. And what I mean, especially what I mean by that is just Hebrews around the world. It's pan-Hebrewism. That we have to understand that we've got some challenges trying to shed all of these things that have been put on us. So like you just mentioned, not only do you have your your elders that in the way that they've been taught, you have to deal with the people that are in the community at the congregations or the churches that you go to. And if you decide you want to come out, where are you going to seek answers from? No one's really out there talking about the things that we're talking about. And because we're just, not highly visible, we fly a little bit under the radar. But who are you going to turn to? You're probably going to go Hebrew roots. You're probably going to go Messianic. And then if not, go Judaism for a little bit. And then if you continue to keep reading, you're saying, no, wait a minute. What did the Most High really say? And that's really what the question is at the end of the day.
Exactly.
What did the Most High say?
Yeah.
And in doing so, you have kind of this self-discovery of who you are.
Yeah.
So it's very cathartic. But that's good that, like you said, you mentioned that's where a lot of young people are is that fear of, I just wish I had a opportunity to just study and have an understanding without the bright lights and the cameras and the production and saying, okay, if I'm going to believe in something, then why do I believe in it? I think a lot of times, a lot of young people, they just, matter of fact, somebody sent me a video and it was just nothing but young people at this Thai tribute concert. And I'm listening to what he's singing about. And at the same time, I'm looking at all these young people that's in the crowd. And I'm saying, this is the draw. They don't even want to, and that's in text. They don't even want to know about the Most High. They want to see a production. They want to go to a concert every single week. They want to socialize and the things that should be emphasized as far as truth never comes out.
It seems like denial. I was talking about, I forgot it was brought up a couple of weeks ago in the conversations, but denial can go a long ways. And, we talk about a lot of people that call themselves successful, whether because they feel like they have a business, whether because they feel like they have a certain job title. it's all basically how a person perceives success, because I don't perceive a person as successful just because they have a business and they have a fat bank account.
Yeah. Agreed.
But my point that I was going to is a lot of these people that are talking about, okay, well, you got to execute when you want to get to a goal. You can't procrastinate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the most important reason why we're here is to get an experience to connect with the Most High.
Sure.
So if all day we're only thinking about food, if all day only thing we're thinking about is other people, and we're thinking about materials, and we're thinking about this and this and that, but we never give time to the Most High,
Sure.
who's going to fill the source of our being and who can make our lives totally better for us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But some of us have hurt that we have, and we have questions that are not understood.
Mm-hmm.
And when we want to get into that realm of trying to seek questions and answers, it gets too much.
Yeah.
And a lot of people back off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Robbie was speaking with the conversation with the lady in the restaurant.
Oh,
with
okay.
the cakes. So, so you know what I mean? It's, you know, but we have to remind ourselves that, you know, this is something that we should not procrastinate on, because this is the most important thing in our life and that we need to focus on. Because once you connect with the Most High, then you should have a knowing within yourself that He's going to make things better for you. He's going to provide that protection for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how I feel, is that, you know, we have to be realistic and not try to be let go of denial. I mean, what was it? Yes, denial of knowing that you need to address this issue,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to address it right now because it's too much and it's overwhelming. When you feel connected with the Most High, it's loving and it feels good. So I just want to encourage people on that to just focus more and try to get to know His word, because what His word is life.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And His word gives us healing and instruction. So that's something that I just noticed with people when we were talking about, you know, with the youth and just people in general.
Yeah, they have a lot of unanswered questions.
Yes.
And I think that they're floundering a lot because, like, even when it comes to relationships and how people are supposed to deal with it, that's probably like one of the biggest things. I'm saying I'm not a TikToker, I'm not a social media person. Trust me, I don't even have any of that social media. But what comes up on that algorithm on YouTube when I'm just, you know, trying to search things out is this constant thing in just westernized culture. And it is totally 180 degrees diametrically opposed to what is in mitzvot for the Most High. And I'm sitting here asking myself the question. This is almost getting ready to dovetail into my other issue.
Oh,
that I was getting ready to talk about.
Yeah.
Is that when you look at this culture, you look how backwards it actually is.
Yes.
When it comes to the things that are written in text. Mm-hmm. And you're saying to yourself, okay, oh boy, I got to do this now. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm going to ask you a question. All right?
Yeah.
And I've never thought about this until this couple of weeks ago. Again, I'm not saying that I'm wrong. I'm not saying that I'm right. This is sparking a conversation. You're a good person to do this with.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, let's hear it.
In the beginning, now I'm going around Robin's Red Barn about this, okay? So I'm coming back to my point. So just stick with me.
I got you.
In the beginning, it says that the Most High made everything in how many days? 6 days. And He rested on the 7th day. And if you read text specifically, not getting too technical with it, there's specific days in Moshe's narration of it that he says, that's good. Huh? At the end of what he was making at that day, he says, it's good.
It's good, yeah.
And when you get down to the last verse in Bereshit, chapter number 1, it says that after the Most High made everything that He made, He called everything that he made very good. So the question that I have is, why is it good? Why? Has anybody ever asked the question, why is it good? And the way that I came about this was because I was looking out over a sunset and I was looking out at what was painted before me. And I said, that is beautiful. That's good.
Yeah.
But why is it good? Go ahead.
Okay. I think the first thing that came in my head when you said that is, you said, why is it good? And I have to say is, I think I would hear the Most High say, because it is necessary.
Okay.
Because, and this goes back to, I shouldn't take it there, but, I could, because some of us worry about how judgment is going on and how people are going through things in life and worried about loved ones, ourselves, blah, blah, blah. So we have to, I'm going to say what gives me a sense of peace is that I know that Yah is handling things perfectly the way that they need to be handled.
Okay.
So even if I may not like my situation that I'm in fully right now, I know that how Most High is operating, how my life is functioning right now, he's giving me what is necessary that I need.
Okay.
So when he says things are good, that's what I see. I see it as necessary. I see as, of course, the Most High's overall plan is to make things cohesive, right? I would say, you know what I mean? So it's good as far in good in its nature, and it can also be as good as in testing or shaping or kind of like cleansing gold. You know what I mean? The gold has to go through the fire. So the fire, is also good and it's cleansing it. So that's kind of how I feel when the Most High made these, when he made the earth and all these things, because some people can view them as, okay, harsh or traumatic things can happen from, he made all these things, waters, earth, rocks, situations happen. But it is good because the Most High has it orchestrating perfectly in his power. That's how I feel.
Okay. So let me add my 2 cents to that. The way I reconciled that to answer it. I had to go back and answering the question because, again, if I look at the human body was made and it's good. The sun was made and it's good. The moon was made and it's good. So I'm saying to myself, what is my benchmark for knowing what is good for me? The mitzvot. What are the mitzvot? The mitzvot are commands that have been given to your spirit, because what you are is a biodegradable supercomputer that's living in a house that's being controlled by a spirit given by the Most High. Without your spirit in that house, the fuel, you could put fuel in it, which is the food. That house is perfect and it's good. When that spirit gets in there, it needs to know how to function in that house. How do I know how to function in that house? The mitzvot tell me how I'm supposed to function in this house. And the mitzvot are good.
Yes.
So the question is that, and this is going to get into the book of Enoch. So my question is this. I asked myself, are the mitzvot, are there only one set of mitzvot? And I had to ask myself the question. I said, no, there are more mitzvot out there than I know about. Why? I only know about the mitzvot that are germane to the spirit. That's in text. There are mitzvot that are assigned to the sun. Because in the book of Enoch, it says that the sun has been given commands to transverse the sky and it does not break it. So my definition of good is the total fulfillment of the commands that the Most High has given that particular object. That's when it's good. When you don't break any of the commands or the orders of the Most High that it's given that particular object, now it's good.
Gotcha.
That's why after every single day, the stars don't break their motion of movement in the sky. The commands that the Most High gave it says you will transverse in the sky from here to here. They never have broken from this dawn of time. The plants have never broken. The plants didn't say, okay, I'm not going to grow apples today. I'm going to grow pears. The only entity on the face of the world that has the ability to choose between good and evil is your spirit. Because your house has mitzvot that are assigned to it. That body of yours has mitzvot assigned to it. Tell me a person that is actually, when you get, it happens every single day, every single year. A person is born, your body matriculates and grows older. Your body will go through puberty. Your body will go through all these changes, and it happens every single time. And it will not break those mitzvot that the Most High assigned to the body. That's what makes the body good, because the body does not break those mitzvot. It's only when the spirit that's put in there decides to break the mitzvot of the Most High that's been given to the spirit, i.e., I decide I want to go ahead and eat pork. I would decide I want to do something else which pollutes the body. That's how we get things inside the body that make that why we have these genetic things that happen to us now, because at the time when the body was made, none of that was around. So who put it in there? The Most High didn't do it. It was our disobedience of the mitzvot. And that's why I'm saying, when they ate from that tree of good and evil, what did they figure out? They figured out how to break these mitzvot. They understood now, okay, I have the ability to analyze things and figure out how the laws of things actually work. So that dovetails into the issue of saying the sciences, physics, botany, chemistry, mathematics are all a way of us as individuals to try to understand the mitzvot that the Most High has assigned to those objects. And when I understand the mitzvot that has been assigned to that object, I can break it. I can manipulate it. But in its natural state, it is perfect. So that's why I can go back and say, when the Most High says that in that same, if you read up a little bit further, in verse number 29, it says, I've given that house of yours fruits and vegetables to eat. In its state, fruits and vegetables are perfect. They go into the house and nourish the house. That's its perfect state. Just like with anything else the Most High's made. There's nothing in the world. When you leave and you walk outside and you look at everything that's out there, it's perfect. I'm looking at you and you're perfect. If you never said a word to me and you just sat there, I'm looking at the perfection of the Most High, because your body has mitzvot that are assigned to it that it cannot break. Your body's going to get old. It's going to go through its changes, and it will not break those laws that the Most High assigned to it when he made it on that day. So that's why I was kind of saying to myself, how do we define what's good? What we define is good. And that's why I'm saying to myself, there's more mitzvot that are out there. We only understand the ones that are germane to the spirit on how to drive this house. But nothing in this world breaks the mitzvot of the Most High. And this is getting to this issue of free will and choice, because we're the only creatures on the face of the planet that had that ability. And we only got that ability to have that free will and choice when them two individuals ate from that tree and their eyes were open to the fact that, oh, okay, I understand. And this is why it kind of almost gets into the fact of, when we talk about if we're talking about the sciences and understanding, and I'm going to reiterate it again. When we talk about the sciences, physics, botany, chemistry, mathematics, all of those things, that is, to me, the discovery of the mitzvot of the Most High that he's assigned to those particular objects. And man has the ability to understand it and manipulate it. Getting
more detailed.
Getting more detail with it. So I don't look at science as something that is separated from the mitzvah.
Right.
All science
Right.
is discovery of mitzvot that are for that particular. When I look at
Right.
plants and I look at photosynthesis, that's a mitzvah. It has to do that.
Right.
It can't break that.
Right.
So it gave me some peace to say to come around and Brown Robin's Red Barn when we talk about when the Most High designed our bodies, who they were designed for. Your body is designed for a woman. It's not designed for a man.
Oh, yeah.
There's things in place. And when you start introducing these things and you say, well, okay, well, why does the Most High make this mitzvah for all you LGBTQ community folk out there? You want to know why the Most High instantiated saying to your spirit, you are not to be with somebody else that's of the same gender? It's because there's a mitzvah that's in play back early on that says this is this body and this is how this body is supposed to operate. And this body is assigned to that.
Yeah.
So that's the way I reconciled it in my mind to say, okay, now when I go outside, I see perfection everywhere.
And that's what I was saying. You understand that the Most High is handling and dealing with everything perfectly. Exactly.
You
know what I mean? And even though a person may not like the judgment it may give on whatever essence of the Most High we're talking about, you know what I mean? Because, like I was saying, example with the river. The rivers are good, but there's people who have, had terrible accidents in it. You know what I mean? But it's still good.
And it's good because the river follows the Most High's mitzvahs that it's signed to it.
Exactly.
So that's when the Most High said, Israel is supposed to be the catalyst for everybody else to show them what is good.
Yes.
In the eyes of the Most High. That's why it's germane for us to make sure that we know about these mitzvahs. Because everything has harmony with it. And when we just need to just go, it's just as simple as looking at a tree and understanding that that tree cannot break the mitzvahs that the Most High has assigned to it. And it will do the same thing every single year. The seed will germinate, it will grow, it will produce fruit, and it will do it in the season that it's called out to do it. It will not break it. Only humans do that.
Very true.
So that was my philosophical thing I was talking about. Where I said, okay, I'm gonna run this by you, see where this goes with you.
No. That is perfect because that goes in with one of my favorite chapters, which is Deuteronomy chapter 30, where he says, I have given you the blessing and the curse. So he's saying, I'm giving you the option. You can choose.
Raise the microphone up a bit.
You can choose. You can choose to operate in what is good, or you can choose to operate in what is not going to be good for you.
Right.
And so
now coming back full circle. I didn't mean to cut you off, brother. But I got to jump right here. But that's coming back full circle to what we're talking about. Now we look at what's going on in westernized culture. It is a total backwards way of looking at the Most High's mitzvot. And then we wonder why nothing is working. It's because we're not operating in the mitzvot of the Most High. So now what we're trying to do as people is trying to say, okay, I'm going to give you a great example. I'm an independent woman. I don't need no man. I can work and do everything on my own.
Yeah, that's not Torah.
You professing to me that you can work and do it on your own. First of all, you're not supposed to. That's my job. When the Most High was handing out all of these atonements for eating off that tree, one of our atonements as men is that we work.
Yeah.
Not the woman. Now, the woman has 3 atonements that she has. Now, everybody seems to believe only the one that's in there, which is her giving birth and more pain. But we also forget about the other ones that says that you will be under the dominion of your husband.
Right.
And the third one is that you will always desire him. So think about all the issues that are going on in relationships right now. It's to circumvent them 3 issues. Mainly 2 of them. That I don't need you.
Yeah.
That's breaking what the Most High instantiated at the beginning. That says that you will be under the dominion of your husband. And you will always want him. Okay? It's not your job to go out and work. That's my job. I'm to provide for you. I'm supposed to do all that. But since you want to get out on your own, then you get to this point where it's like, well, I don't want to work anymore. It's too hard out here for me to do all this. You're starting to hear that dynamic come out now from a lot of people. And I'm sitting here saying, if I just look at all the problems that we have in the United States, you can put them right back to a mitzvot that we're doing is diametrically opposed to what's there.
Yeah.
Every single last one of them. I can categorize them all. Especially when it comes to relationships. This separation between man and woman, and we don't need each other, that's not most high. That's not mitzvot. That's not a design. Your body is designed to be with a woman. So why in the world? Again, there's your answer as to why those mitzvot are in there for sexual immorality. Because when you start getting too close to relatives and all these other kinds of things, you start damaging the genetics of what the Most High instantiated for that body. That body is perfect. Because it follows the mitzvot, and you're the only one that can break it. I didn't say that like 15 different times already, but it's something that it just made me realize that how important the mitzvot are, and understanding that when I look at the world around me, when I look at the soil, when I look at plants, when I look at animals, the giraffe is not trying to hump the elephant.
Sure hope not.
They're not breaking their assignment. They follow exactly what the Most High said. And that's the beauty of it. We're reminded of it everywhere we go.
And you know what's a deep thing I want to think about too, since you brought that up, is you know how our ancestors, when they were aligned with Yah, they were almost in a somewhat of a perfection state, right?
Sure.
What is in our DNA, and we have to really dig within inside ourselves to figure out what would be the issue? Like I think Rabbi also spoke on it a little bit too. If everything is good and everything is going perfectly, as in good, prosperous, walking with Yah, and everything is good, what would make something in us reject that? And and maybe this is just some spiritual thing that I mean, it of course y'all can see a spirit, what spirit is in any individual, but that's just something that just it's just in my head. Like, if things are going good, why would they not want that?
Wow, that's a very broad question. That's like 4 or 5 different podcasts in itself to try to analyze, because I see the culmination of that. But yeah, you got to ask yourself the question. Even in that spirit that's placed there, the Most High put it there, even prior to eating from the tree, had the ability to choose, and choosing is not something that is demonized. It's just at that particular point, I'm almost saying in its simplistic Occam's razor stance is that, you just have the ability. That's what free will is. And then we know now what is good when choosing for a lifestyle.
And I feel like with Hebrew Israel and almost humanity, I feel like we're in a spiritual development state to go on a higher level.
Sure.
And just because of with the information that we're learning and everything that we've been through, but it even goes back to, like you said, with Adam and Eve. You know what I mean? Where we had talked about that before, is they were almost, they had the right to make a decision, and they, like children, you tell them no, but they haven't experienced it. So it's more of a drive to, oh, let me still do it to see it. You know what I mean? Kind of like the fire on the stove, because I had that too when I was a little bit. My mom said, don't touch the fire on the stove, but it looked just so pretty.
And like that little blue flame was dancing. Oh, let me see what's going on. It looks cute. Yeah.
So my point is that was with Adam and Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are where we are today. And like I talked about earlier, like the same situation with the parent, you give the children a game early so they can take it further. Okay, well, we seen what happened in Adam and Eve. We seen what happened to our ancestors. Now we need to get solid with this.
Sure.
So we can take this further.
Absolutely.
Where when we're tested, when Yah tells us, okay, don't do whatever, now we have we're mature enough spiritually to where we say, okay, no, I'm not really even tempted.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's not even a thought that comes across your mind. You know, and you know, we've gotten that way because we've studied, we've said, you know what, this is what is good in the eyes of the Most High. What's good in the eyes of the Most High is following the mitzvot. You're not going to complete them all. You just can't. As much as you can.
Yeah.
We try to do to make ourselves pleasing, and that's again back to your point, which is the generations. There's an old saying. That jazz guy told me this. He says, "I was able to see further when I stood on the shoulders of giants." So, being able to, you know, move the culture forward, and that's what we're trying to do. This is, we've talked about it all the time in here. Is that we will not see the land. We will not see the culmination of the Most High's master plan in our lifetime. But descendancies down the line should be equipped to stand on our shoulders and see further. To go back and say that when the Most High opened the eyes of Adam and Eve, two melanated people, he gave all that information to unlock mathematics, chemistry, botany, physics, to the Asiatic black man to go ahead and understand these things. You're the leader of the world. And now you've become the tail, which it talks about in text. We got to get back to the place where we've elevated ourselves mentally, elevated ourselves moving forward as a culture to exemplify the excellence that is in text.
No. I'm hearing you, and I'm just, man, I'm right with you.
Yeah,
I'm right with you.
It's a beautiful thing to be able to kind of to go and understand that. So that's good. Anything else you want to add? Because I think it's a good place that we're in right now.
I kind of want to read. You want to read?
Yeah, let's do some reading. Let's do a little bit of reading. Put that mic up there because people need to hear you now. They keep dropping down. You got to tighten that thing up over there on the end. There you go.
Got you. I just want to.
Let's go to some text.
Okay. Let's.
Where are you gonna take me?
Let's go to Psalms 50.
Oh, you know what? I got to talk about this brother too.
Oh, really?
I'm gonna tell you what. This is an extra credit question for anybody that knows that's going to try to get to know me as a person. There's two people in this book of our ancestry that I adore. One of them is Moshe, and the other one is the writer of that book.
Oh,
There's the reason why he is the anointed king forever. And stay tuned for this Shabbat because I'm going to talk about him a little bit. I'm going to explain some things on why I believe he's one of the most important tantamount people that you got to understand in our ancestry. Where you want to go in Psalms?
Psalms 50.
50. All right.
Yep. Okay. And
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll read through the chapter because it's just good. Psalm of Asaph. The mighty one El Yah is speaking, summoning the world from east to west. Out of Zion, which is Jerusalem, the perfection of beauty, Yah is shining forth. Our Elohim is coming and not staying silent. With a fire devouring ahead of him, and a great storm raging around here. We talked about that. What is good?
That's right.
He calls to the heavens above and to earth in order to judge his people. Gather to me, my faithful, those who made a covenant with me by sacrifice. The heavens proclaim his righteousness, for Yah himself is judge. Listen, my people, I am speaking. Israel, I am testifying against you. I, Yah, your Elohim, I am not rebuking you for your sacrifices. Your burnt offerings are always before me. I have no need for a bull from your farm, or for male goats from your pens. For all forest creatures are mine already, as are the animals on 1,000 hills. I know all the birds in the mountains. Whatever moves in the fields is mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell you, for the world is mine and everything in it. Do I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats? Offer thanksgiving as your sacrifice to Yah. Pay your vows to the Most High and call on me. This is Yah talking only. Call on me when you are in trouble. I will deliver you and you will honor me. And then he gets this last part. But to the wicked, Yah says, what right do you have to proclaim my laws? So that's telling you right there that there is some wicked people claiming his laws.
Exactly.
Or take my covenant on your lips. When you so hate to receive instructions, and that's a big problem with our people.
That's right.
They hate to receive instructions. And you got to get rid of that if you want to be good with Yah.
That's right.
You got to get rid of that.
And you know what? This taking a real sidebar, right? Because that plays into where we are as just in westernized country, in a westernized world, because we live in a democracy.
Do your own thing.
And we the people, that's the preamble.
Yes.
We the people say this. So we're in this dictatorship mode and not in a theocracy mode, which says that you realize that you're a part of a kingdom and you don't get to change or add amendments to what the Most High has said.
Yes.
So I can see why it's difficult for us to kick back and the Most High says, no, this is the way it's going to be.
Yes.
Because we're just been trained from a knee-high to a grasshopper.
To be opposite almost.
To be opposite.
Yes.
It's us that dictate to the Most High what's going to happen. So, yeah, keep going. It's good.
Okay. When you so hate to receive instructions and fling, oh my goodness, and this is the attitude that a lot of us have to, and fling my words behind you. When you see a thief, you join up with him. You throw in your lot with adulterers. You give your mouth free rein for evil and harness your tongue to deceit. You sit and speak against your kinsmen. You slander your own mother's son. When you do such things, should I stay silent? You may have thought I was just like you, but I will rebuke and indict you to your face. Consider this, you who forget Yah, or I will tear you to pieces. With no one, not even I, Zeus, is going to save you.
See that? You almost need to sit on that for a little bit. Consider this.
Yes.
For who forget Yah. Eye asher eye. Or I will tear you to pieces with no one to save you. That says a lot.
Yes.
Nobody.
Whatever name you call. Whatever name you call. It's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
All right.
And that last little paragraph, whoever offers thanksgiving as his sacrifice honors me. And to him who goes the right way, like we said in Deuteronomy chapter 30, I will show the salvation of Yah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's beautiful. Well, I think we had some good discussions this evening, and hopefully the people that are viewing or maybe watching this later on at a later time will glean something from it. It's always good to be able to talk, always good to talk about the things of the Most High and how he has prepared Hebrew Israel and our spirit that's driving this house to be able to reach a level that is good in the sight of the Most High, to follow the mitzvot, to do the things that are germane, that cannot be broken. They shouldn't be broken. So it's honor to sit with you again. Awesome time.
May I say one last
go
thing
ahead.
to people?
Absolutely.
I just want to also encourage our people that when we are, because, you know, like we were talking about, we're not bashing our people for not operating in these ways, really, because a lot of us don't know this.
Sure. Right.
So I just wanted to have us keep in mind that as Hebraic brothers and sisters that are trying to move purely, that, you know, remind us, let us keep a humble spirit when we're teaching these other people. Let us not have to feel like, oh, our knowledge is here and they doing this wrong, and you want to speak negative or like about it to them. I just want to encourage us to just remain humble and teach our people and just give them love, because everything takes time.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So just let's teach with love, and let's do everything we do with love, because that's how we're going to heal our people.
Absolutely. Let me add a little bit to that as well. And in doing so, with that humble spirit, or at least that humble disposition in trying to show somebody something, let's also remember we were there at one time too.
That's my
And to have this hypocritical attitude about it is not conducive of trying to move someone closer to the Most High at the end of the day. We also have to understand that you do not, I need to emphasize this, do not get discouraged when whatever you say to somebody doesn't take root. There's physical laws, mitzvot, that have been assigned to the plants. And we use this analogy all the time.
Love that.
When you put that seed in the ground,
love that,
you can go ahead and water that joker, and you may not see that thing germinate until the right time that it's supposed to germinate. So don't get discouraged that because you may be getting the soil ready for a seed to be planted there. Right. You could be saying something just by, you not partaking in eating bottom feeders and partaking in other things that are against the Most High, and the way your behavior is making it pliable for somebody to be like, oh, okay, this brother's got something going on that's good, and I want to know more about it. That's when that seed gets planted. I may come by and water it. You may come by and water it. But just because that seed don't grow, don't get discouraged. That is not your job to sit there and mull over the fact that it ain't growing.
Right.
You know whose job that is? That's the Most High's job. And when they get to a point where, okay, I can see it, that's what happened with us. The light came on and we said, you know what? This is the right way to go. And it resonates with our, and that's the beautiful thing about it, because when you start doing good, your spirit will always resonate. We use this example all the time.
It feels good doing good to me. So
you don't. Nobody has to tell you to go out. That you shouldn't be going out in the backyard in the barn with the chickens and doing something strange for some change with them. Nobody has to tell you that.
Right.
Okay? Because there's certain things that in you that resonate with the way the Most High has programmed the body already. Mm-hmm. That says this is a mitzvah that I assigned to that body. Then that body cannot be with that over there. That's not what that's for. So with that, just be careful. Stay humble and just be empathetic and sympathetic and caring with the dissertation, to know that the Most High is doing something in that person, and that it allowed you to be able to come to that person and be able to share the Most High with them. Right. It may be a life-changing event for them that may happen years down the road. And that's the testimony that I literally want to hear from people, is that even though I may not have understood what you said. It, later on down the road, it did resonate
It helped
later
me,
on.
yeah, to receive it later on.
Later
or whatever,
on.
yes.
Exactly. So I think we've reached at the end of this podcast. This has been Ambassador Shawn Appleton and
Right, Beverly?
this is Hebrews in Exile. Shalom.